architecture and society. Greha has been concerned about the fact that architecture and society were kind of separating in some unintended manner. And hence we started to try and see if we could kind of bring them closer together. In over a year, we've had very little success, I must tell you, in that regard. But it's great that we do get interesting speakers to come and fill the slot every month. And today I have great pleasure to introduce Dr. Vikram Soni, whom is the rather wonderful combination of being a theoretical physicist and an environmental activist. Just the kind of combination we need today. And of course his remarkable work that he's been doing in water conservation, and of great interest to us is the fact that it is now being related to city planning and urban development. And this is what we are looking forward to, because quite clearly we have managed to spoil the planet in the way we build our cities over the last 100, 200 years. And it'd be very good to hear if, that there are alternatives possible to this. So without a further ado, I will request Vikram to tell us. I'll go and sit in the audience. So I'll just, as you like, you can sit or stand.
So thanks very much, Ashish. I'm happy to be here because at this Architects Collective, as a matter of fact, at the end of the day, it's the architects who actually maybe not decide, but at least plan cities and plan buildings and basically plan your habitat and your life and your landscape. So I guess this talk is going to be a little bit more about life to begin with than architecture. Architecture is just going to be one of the corollaries of trying to understand what life is about. So it's a rather different thing, and it's a very different way of looking at the city. But let me start off by saying that none of these things become interesting without a narrative. So I don't see Romy here. But anyway, I should just tell you how this started. It started in 2013, and there was the Dalai Lama convention. Actually, it was at the Habitat, and it was a lot on states of meditation, which I think there's a whole group from Wisconsin, Madison, which is associated with the Dalai Lama. And they were here, and there are a couple of people I knew over there, and some people that Romy and his wife Kalpana knew. And they were talking about what happens to the mind. That they were using sensors to check what happens to the mind in states of meditation. And so it was, interestingly, it was in somewhat related to the mind, so you can say it was partially holistic, but it was experimentally reductionist, because they were using all these instruments to look at the mind. And I don't know, somehow we were having a chat, and it came up, and I think I must have asked a question about, how do you bring holism into, you have to have holism, otherwise you can't talk about life. It can't be purely what is a conventional scientific endeavor, because it involves body, mind, and I suppose spirit as well. And so I do not know, that conversation led to something, and we decided to meet for a whole day and start planning a city. And I'll come to that a little more later in the narrative. And so we decided to use a completely different vision of how to make a city. Typically, cities have grown up in strange ways. Cities have been connected with habitation and habitats and empires, and religions, colonial powers like cities like Calcutta and Delhi, or some New Delhi at least. Then some other people who wanted to look, who were modernist and maybe also ideological, like Chandigarh. I'm just sticking to Indian examples. And now we have another city which might come up, a new one called Amravati. So I'm going to cut through. a lot of the narrative on architecture. So we thought that perhaps there might be more interesting ways of looking at cities, except just historically. And so what I'm going to present in some sense started from there. And then the next thing that happened, which was on the ground, was Amravati. So there are gentlemen here who perhaps will tell you a little bit about how this whole idea of architecture, a little bit of holistic science, natural wisdom, moved down to the ground level.